Welcome back to Red Card. I'm your host, Anthony Toter, and right now joining us from Kansas City, sporting Kansas City goalie, Jimmy Nielsen. Jimmy, welcome to Red Card, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you on, Jimmy. Let's talk about, first and foremost, the outstanding season your club has had so far, scoring goals, but also playing defensively sound. What did you guys talk about in preseason to play the way you guys have played so far, to attribute the way you guys have had this success early on?
Well, I think last year a lot of teams, a lot of media guys, and a lot of soccer experts in the U.S. soccer had the same opinion that we're a very, very physical team and a hard team to play against. And we like that. But we wanted to add something to our style. We wanted to show that we could play some attractive soccer as well, you know, with some ball possession and keep the ball at the right moments. And I think we've been a lot better team now. We've been a lot smarter team. We're able to manage the games a little bit better now. Not perfectly, but I've not seen a lot of teams in the whole world could manage games perfectly.
Jimmy, you mentioned the word attractive and entertaining soccer. I got to tell you, when I watch Graham Zusi, Matt Beasler, and Claudio Bieler play, to me, that's entertaining, it's attractive, and watching you stop that ball, it's the price of admission. And I'll tell you this, Jimmy, I think 4 or 5 of your teammates can play in Europe right now.
Yeah. Well, I think you got a good point. You know, it's very attractive to come to Sporting Park.
Yeah, absolutely. The facility is a top-notch. You saw AS Roma come into that facility and have a wonderful experience. They raved about it. They talked about the way American soccer, MLS, has grown in leaps and bounds. Where have you seen, Jimmy, the league, MLS, grown? But also, where do you feel that it still needs to grow? Well,
I think, obviously, the 3, almost 4 seasons I've been here, the soccer is just growing every day. You know, we went from the smaller stadium, we went to Sporting Park, and you know that was a huge step in the right direction. If you take the MLS soccer overall, now it's possible to bring home Dempsey from Tottenham Hotspurs, to give him a lot of money, but he's not only coming for the money. He's coming because this league is very good now. It's going in the right direction. You know, every time you drive around and you see the kids play soccer in the park, you know, the future. It's got a gigantic future in front of it.
Jimmy, is it safe to say when you play Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, that Pacific Northwest, it can rival any rivalry in Europe right now?
Yeah, it's good. You know, a lot of people at the stands, very intense games. Where the soccer probably have to grow is more games on national TV, better TV deals, so the teams are allowed to spend a little bit more money. Maybe can bring a little bit better players and make the soccer a little bit better.
I agree with you there 100%, Jimmy. And when you see players like Marco Di Vaio coming from Italy and wanting to play here and asking other Italian players to come over, it tells you that the league really is starting to attract, you know, players of wonderful caliber.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's awesome to see those players in this league here. And what I also think is awesome to see, it's just not a walkover for those players when they come here. They got to be top of their game to stand out and perform. This is not a retirement league anymore. You got to be on your toes, and you got to bring your best every single game.
You know, Jimmy, you're bang on with that. I think a lot of guys in Europe think coming over for a vacation. They're coming over for family time and to settle in North America. And lo and behold, when some of them come here, they find out right away that the American, the Canadian player, the Central American player really wants to win and really wants to show that they can play with them.
Yeah, that was the same thing I was told when I moved here. Everybody in Scandinavia had that opinion about the MLS, that this year was a retirement league. And to be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect when I moved over here. But, you know, I got surprised. You know, I could see from day one when I was here in practice that this is not a retirement league.
Jimmy, you're with two guys, two American All-Stars right now, two national players, Graham Zusi, Matt Beasler, guys right now that are getting a lot of attention overseas and playing outstanding for Jurgen Klinsmann. We saw yesterday USA come from behind to beat Bosnia-Herzegovina. In your mind, Jimmy, you've been in many places in the world, and you've been now in the USA for a few years. Have you seen the U.S. game grown to the point that now they can actually be considered a top 10, a top 15 nation in the world?
Yeah, I think it's top 15. That would be fair to say. I think lately they have some impressive results. What they did last night, I know it was a friendly, but still travel all the way to Bosnia and get that result. That is very, very, very impressive. I looked at halftime; they're down 2-0. And I was kind of thinking, yeah, maybe that was a little too much for U.S. But when they came back like they did, I was actually celebrating like this was my own country who won the game. I was so excited and so happy for the U.S. soccer that they won that game.
Jimmy, a lot of times in Canada and in the USA for the last number of years, when you go to Europe like I do to Italy, they look at the players that we develop in North America and they look at them as athletes. They're tough, they're physical, they got speed, but they don't have the lovely touch of the South American. They don't have maybe the beautiful set pieces like they do in Europe. They don't have that. When do you think that they will get that identity in the USA and in Canada?
It's coming. It's coming. A lot of soccer players here in America, when they grew up, they had to play basketball, they had to play baseball, they had to try football. When they grow up playing soccer 365 days a year, they will get that touch from when they're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. That's where you got to learn it. It's too late to start teach the 22-year-old when he come out of college to how to get the right touch on the ball. And that what makes me so happy when everywhere you see now soccer, the kids are playing soccer in parks and big soccer facilities around every area you drive in. The U.S. soccer have a great future.
Jimmy, what would you like to say to those coaches in the USA, in the state that you're in, to really start to implement to the young minds? Is it more of a technical, tactical? Is it more of a taking time and looking throughout the whole field? What would you like to see the young American player learn more of that the European and South American player has?
Yeah, what disappoints me a little bit and what makes me a little sad when I'm out seeing those kids playing is when the coaches are yelling and screaming at the kids. They want to see tackle, they want to see winning attitude and all that. And they come over to the parents, hey, I'm making you a boy to a man now. That's not their job. Their job is to teach them how to play soccer, how to kick a ball and how to take a ball down and all that. They will become a man when time is to be a man. Those kids have to learn how to play soccer. The technical and tactical and all the physical will come automatic when they grow up.
Jimmy, I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm a parent of 2 teenage boys, and my boys have played soccer since they've been 3 and 4 years of age. One is 6'1.5". The other boy is a little bit smaller side, and I noticed the difference right away with the smaller child, Jimmy, that the coach right away doesn't give that respect, doesn't give that confidence, and all that youth coach wants to do, I've seen it so many times, is win that $2 trophy or that $2 medal. And I think this is still the sickness in North America, Jimmy.
Yes, I agree 100%. Right now in that age group, it's not about the results. It's about develop the player so he's able to play for a team and develop him so he's ready individual.
So how do we fix this, Jimmy? How do we fix this with some of these coaches that think that they're coaching a World Cup game? How do we get them to understand that it's about development and it's not about self-gratification?
Well, either those coaches need some better coaching educations or either they got to get out.
How is it done in your country, Jimmy? At what ages do they start to play small-sided games? Because here, especially in Canada, in the U.S., right away, when they're 4 or 5, they start playing some of these full-sided, big-field games.
I know in my country, It's very, very popular just to play on a smaller field, 3 against 3, so you get a lot of touches on the ball from the low age, even in practice as well. You know, when you come around and see kids, maybe they touch the ball 10 times in a practice session. That's not good enough. They're supposed to touch the ball 1,000 times in each training session, so they get comfortable with the ball. You know, they get to know their limits and how good they are with it. And it comes back to the coaches again. The coaches need better education.
And you know what, Jimmy, you make a great point. Just a couple more questions and we'll let you go. But we noticed today, Jimmy, a lot of players from the USA are being brought over to Europe to shine. We see Michael Bradley with AS Roma, Josie Altidore, a lot of American players. But yet, we don't see American or Canadian coaches going over there, aside from Bradley coaching Egypt. Why do you think that is?
So, soccer in America is still very young. I'm sure in the future you will see American coaches go there, but again, also they need education. They need, you know, I was trying to take my A license. I'll give you an example here in America. I could easily take my A license here, but it wouldn't work in Europe. It was U.S. Soccer Federation alone, so they don't cooperate with FIFA and UEFA. You know, it's a little different how they educate the coaches and all that. I'm not questioning that it's not good enough here, so I haven't tried the coaching educations here. But it's a big deal, even from a young age. You know, when the kids are 5 or 6 years old, they need a coach who knows how to coach those kids.
Jimmy, how hard is it on the body for a goalie like yourself to play from beautiful grass facilities to artificial turf week in and week out? It's got to take a toll on you.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that turf. You know, I'm a little old school. Soccer needs to be played on grass. You know, that's just how I grew up and my mentality. Soccer is definitely playing on the grass.
I agree with you 100%. Jimmy, the last question is simply this, and we really appreciate your time. We look at the Eastern Conference, and so many times people say that the Western Conference is the better conference, and there's so many quality teams in there. I got to tell you, I think this year, parity has arrived in the Eastern Conference, and there's a lot of quality. You look at Houston, Montreal, and New York, and yourself, I think they can go up against anyone in the West. And let's not forget Philadelphia. Who are you guys looking forward right now to see as your biggest challenge to overcome in the Eastern Conference this year?
You know, there's a lot of good teams, as you mentioned. You know, it's all about hitting the form at the right time. You know, and when playoff time comes, well, you got to be able to perform the best you can. You know, last year, we played 1.5 game outstanding against Houston, but we lost the playoff game in 1/2 in Houston. So you got to be able to do that over 2 games. Play your best, be smart. You know, be ready in your head for a big battle and whatever it brings to the game. You got to be ready for that. I can't pick a team who I think is our biggest rival. I think all the teams you mentioned there in our division is very, very good.
Absolutely. Let's not forget Chicago Fire with one of the best players in my mind, Mike McGee, making a return there. Jimmy, listen, we thank you so much for taking time out of your busy life to join us here on Red Card. As I said right off the top, I consider you a top 2 goalie in MLS, and you, my friend, do not get enough credit, where a lot of times all the other goalies get a lot of credit. You, my friend, are up there with the 2 of the best in my mind in MLS. Good luck the rest of the way. Congratulations on the season you've had so far, and we appreciate the advice you gave to the kids as well, Jimmy.
Hey, thank you very much, and thank you for having me on the show.
Pleasure. An all-star, a guy that I have a lot of time for, sporting Kansas City goalie, Jimmy Nielsen.